Amazing twist, single mom saves stranger from heart attack. Discover the CEO's hidden love for her. Emma adjusted her ponytail and glanced at the clock above the counter of her favorite coffee shop. The aroma of roasted beans mixed with the chatter of patrons was a comfort zone, her brief escape from the relentless grind that defined her life. As a single mom hustling through 2 underpaying jobs, moments like this, sipping a lukewarm latte, surrounded by warm conversations, felt stolen and precious. Yet today, an unsettling tension hung heavy in the air, and she couldn't shake the feeling something was about to change. The local coffee shop buzzed with customers debating health trends and remedies. Emma leaned in on the discussion, detailing her perspective on holistic diets, when suddenly, a man in an impeccably tailored suit fell to the floor. Gasps erupted, chaos swelled like an unexpected tide. Instinct took over. Emma's heart raced not with fear but with a determination that surged from buried memories. Years back, she had trained to be a nurse. The knowledge felt like a dormant fire now ignited, propelling her into action as she swiftly rolled the stranger onto his back. The world around her blurred as she started CPR, her hands steady and purposeful against the man's chest. With each push, doubts raced through her mind. Could she still remember the right steps? Would she be able to save him? The fleeting thought of her daughter played like a film reel at the back of her mind. If she failed, what would happen to the life they had fought so hard to build? The weight of her past choices, the sacrifices made for motherhood, bled into her anxiety as the patrons around her hovered, helpless. And then, just as she was about to question her resolve, the man gasped, his eyes fluttering open, revealing a startling blend of confusion and gratitude. "Jake," he breathed, struggling as his voice regained clarity. She discovered then that he was Jake, the enigmatic CEO of a tech startup, notorious for his endless ambition and lavish lifestyle. The buzz around the shop shifted as patrons whispered about who he was. Emma felt a pang of insecurity as she looked at him. His world felt so far removed from hers. The flashy corporate lifestyle, the unrelenting pace, felt like a galaxy away from her daily battles of bills and bedtime routines. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Over the following days, Jake's recovery unfolded alongside the unlikeliest of connections between him and Emma. He was drawn to her authenticity while she grappled with feelings of inadequacy. Each encounter pulled her further into a life that felt foreign yet exhilarating. The societal expectations of their vastly different worlds began gnawing at her, causing her self-worth to plummet. As she smiled at Jake, he saw strength, but behind her eyes, the storm of doubt brewed. Was she enough for someone like him? Their differences loomed large, wrapping around them like a vine, suffocating yet binding. When Jake's affluent family caught wind of their budding relationship, the pressure increased dramatically. They didn't hesitate to voice their disdain. He felt the weight of expectation pressing down heavily on his shoulders, threatening to fracture his newfound bond with Emma. Conflicted, he faced the terrifying reality of family loyalty against the pulsing authenticity of what he felt with her. Emma felt that shift, anxiety burrowing deeper into her chest. Could they really survive the storm? As Jake stood at the precipice of a crucial decision, their unspoken fears hung between them like a thick fog, leaving only one question: would their love withstand the very worlds that separated them, or were they destined to drift apart in the tides of expectation? In the days that followed, Emma's life began to resemble a kaleidoscope of uncertainty. The warmth of the coffee shop where they had first met contrasted starkly with the chilling reality of what Jake's family had to say. Every glance at her phone ignited a flurry of emotion, hopeful anticipation mixed with paralyzing dread. Would Jake reach out, or would he succumb to the immense pressure from his affluent family? At work, the mundane tasks morphed into an overwhelming burden. The clink of dishes and the squeak of cleaning supplies felt foreign against the backdrop of a world that had expanded beyond her imaginings. Emma found herself daydreaming about Jake, about the way his eyes sparked with enthusiasm during their conversations, and how he seemed unfazed by the discrepancies in their lives. Yet, reality slapped her back to attention. What value did a single mom from a rough neighborhood hold in his glittering corporate universe? Each night, she lay in bed with her daughter, Clara, tucked safely beside her. Emma's resolve hardened in the stillness. She had overcome many obstacles, and this one would not defeat her. She had conquered the loneliness of motherhood and had navigated through countless frustrating days. "You're not just a caregiver, you are a protector," she whispered to herself as she stroked Clara's hair gently. The bond between them was ironclad, built on late-night stories and shared sacrifices. However, doubt still churned deep within. The following week, while attending a parent-teacher conference, she overheard other mothers discussing their husbands' high-powered careers and their children's prestigious schools. A quiet storm brewed within her, filled with the jealousy of unattainable settings. As they exchanged glances and muffled giggles, Emma felt a familiar heat creep up her neck, a potent mix of shame and insecurity. That evening, she stood staring at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. "You are worth more than their judgment," she muttered, forcing herself to breathe through the rising tide of frustration. She could not afford to let their perceptions define her. Her reality was rich with experiences far deeper than monetary worth. Finding comfort in her resolve, Emma decided it was time to confront these feelings head-on. Meanwhile, Jake too faced his own storm. His family's disapprovals weighed heavily, threatening to drown both their aspirations. During a pivotal dinner where his parents pressed for a traditional match rather than an authentic connection, Jake's mind wandered to Emma. Their conversations had sparked something within him, something that transcended wealth and expectations. If he ever intended to carve a future for himself outside the shadows of his family name, it was time to stand firm against the tide. With clarity crystallizing within him, he took a bold step forward. Reaching for his phone, he wrote to Emma, pouring out his emotions, explaining the conflict within him and how the light she brought into his life was not to be snuffed out easily. But as he hit send, he wrestled with the question: would she see through the chaos, or would the pressure of her own world push her away? Emma's phone buzzed suddenly, and her heart raced as she glanced at the screen. Would this be the moment everything changed, the moment she stepped into a future uncertain yet beckoning? Before she could delve deeper into her hope, the familiar shadow of doubt slinked back into her mind, whispering reminders of their vastly different worlds. Sometimes, the force of expectation could crack even the strongest of bonds. As Emma stared at the screen, she realized she stood at a crossroads, one path leading to security and safety, the other promising vulnerability and potential heartbreak. And then, the words flashed before her: "Can I trust this? Can I risk everything?" In that moment, the air was thick with possibility, but uncertainty loomed ever closer. Was she prepared to confront the storm, or would she let it sweep her back into the life she knew? Emma's breath quickened as she tapped the notification on her phone. The words formed on the screen like the promise of a new dawn, bold and intimidating. Jake had reached out, bearing his soul, and she felt an involuntary pang of excitement. But her heart also clenched with trepidation. Could she afford this? As she read through his message, each line weighed heavily with authenticity. The conflict in him mirrored the tumult within her. His struggles against familial expectations echoed her own doubts, and something remarkable began to unfurl inside her, a burgeoning sense of solidarity. Should she reply, affirming his thoughts, or should she cling to the security of her doubts? Emma paced the small living room, making brisk circles, feeling the dampening weight of apprehension lift feather-like. The dark walls, adorned with Clara's joyful crayon drawings, seemed less oppressive. She glanced at her daughter sleeping soundly on the couch. That image fueled her resolve. This was about more than just her and Jake. This was about showing Clara the strength of authenticity. With renewed determination, Emma dug deep within herself, an exploration of strengths she had long set aside. The tracing of past victories surged her forward. Like when she stood her ground against a dismissive boss who belittled her capabilities, or when she confronted Clara's father about his irresponsibility and lack of commitment. Each moment had sculpted her into the fierce protector she was. The need for a balanced life felt more vivid now. She wanted Clara to thrive in a world of possibilities, filled with adventure and love, regardless of societal judgments or family pressures. How could Emma instill that in her daughter if she wasn't willing to risk her heart for something as profound as love? In a burst of impulse, she began typing, the words flowing with an unexpected ease. She wrote back to Jake, drawing threads of honesty and vulnerability. "I'm here, too," she conveyed, struggling against perceptions just like you. "But I won't let that keep me from exploring what we could become." Emma felt liberated after pressing send. The cloud of uncertainty was still there, yet a new glimmer illuminated it. Later that evening, she received a response that ignited both excitement and apprehension. Jake wanted to meet, to talk face to face. Nerves tightened her stomach. This invitation felt significant. The prospect of standing on the edge of vulnerability was as thrilling as it was terrifying. Would their connection withstand the scrutiny of their realities? In the days leading up to their meeting, Emma found herself oscillating between excitement and a growing fear. She couldn't shake the myriad of what-ifs swirling in her mind. At night, after Clara was asleep, she sat on the edge of her bed, reflections spiraling into deeper self-exploration. What was she afraid of? Was it losing Jake or confronting an unknown future? Emma's fragility in the face of personal truth began to crystallize into a steely determination. This was not simply about Jake, it was about testing the limits of her own fortitude. She recalled a distant memory of participating in a women's leadership workshop, where she learned that personal growth often thrived in discomfort. As she prepared for their meeting, Emma chose an outfit that made her feel assertive and beautiful. She wore her heart not just on her sleeve but also as a badge of honor marking her resilience and journey. Standing at the cafe door, the familiar aroma of coffee wafting through the air, she took a deep breath. This was not just a date, this was a declaration of her willingness to step beyond the confines of expectation and to allow herself the possibility of love and connection. But as she stepped inside and scanned the room, her heart sank momentarily. Jake hadn't arrived yet, but it wasn't his absence that rattled her. Across the cafe, standing beside a concerned-looking woman, was Jake's mother. For a fleeting moment, their eyes locked, and the weight of judgment crashed down around Emma like an avalanche. The moment of truth had arrived, and Emma felt every ounce of her resolve being tested. Could she embrace Jake's world while fiercely maintaining her identity? Could she withstand the impending scrutiny? She steeled herself, ready to confront not only the expectations of Jake's family but also the lingering doubts within herself. As the door to possibilities swung open, the silent question loomed: would she stand her ground, or would she retreat? Emma's heart raced as she faced the reality of Jake's mother lingering across the cafe. The older woman's presence felt like a stark barrier between Emma and her aspirations. The judgment hanging thick in the air made Emma question every bold choice she had made up to this point. Why had she felt so strong just moments before? Now, self-doubt clawed at her like a persistent itch. The warm cafe buzzed around her, patrons engaged in their conversations, blissfully unaware of the silent turmoil gripping her. Was this meeting foolish? Pursuing a relationship with a man whose family may not accept her seemed a reckless move. Yet, as she inhaled the rich aroma of coffee, Emma caught sight of Clara's innocent drawings decorating her home. Those stories of whimsy reminded her of her own dreams, dreams she was determined to keep alive, not merely for herself but for her daughter too. She quashed the urge to escape, focusing instead on the moment. Perhaps confronting Jake's mother would reveal deep-rooted biases she had to navigate, not just for this relationship, but for her own growth. "It's not about them," she whispered to herself, biting her lip to steady her resolve. As she turned to leave her coat over the back of a chair, her hand brushed against her phone. A new message from Jake appeared, a simple "I'm here" accompanied by a picture of his warm smile. The sight melted some of her apprehension. His genuine intent rekindled flashes of hope within her. This was about connection and possibilities, wasn't it? Taking a bold step, Emma approached Jake's mother. Tension coiling in her stomach, she prepared for potential conflict. "Hi, I'm Emma," she introduced, forcing her voice to maintain strength despite the turbulence within. The woman's expression shifted from surprise to wary analysis. "Jake's mentioned you." Before either could say more, Jake stepped into the cafe, his eyes sweeping over the scene before landing on Emma. Relief washed over his face, and pride sparked in her heart. He was here. The air thickened again when he caught sight of his mother, the tension palpable. "Mom," Jake said, moving to stand next to Emma, "can we talk? Just the three of us?" Words hung heavy in the air as Emma watched his mother scowl slightly. The battle of perceptions was on. Would they have an open conversation, or would it devolve into judgments about her life choices? As Jake gestured for them to sit at a table in the corner, Emma caught a glimpse of vulnerability in his eyes, mirroring her own internal struggles. Had he faced criticism for his feelings for her? Would their collective courage forge a new path through the expectations that anchored them? Settling into her seat, Emma nestled her hands in her lap, heart thumping loudly. Jake squeezed her hand briefly, a gesture of assurance and solidarity. Their connection flourished in tiny movements, challenging the lurking doubts. "Let us start fresh," Jake said, his tone firm as he turned to his mother. "I want you to know Emma." With each word exchanged, Emma felt layers of apprehension peel back. There was strength in vulnerability, a chance to stand tall against societal pressures. She could embrace the discomfort, prove her worth, and redefine her narrative, but as the conversation unfolded, Emma could feel there was much at stake. Each question posed by Jake's mother felt like an unraveling thread threatening to expose insecurities deeper than Emma anticipated. This moment, seemingly innocuous, reached back into her life and dragged her childhood struggles into the spotlight. Facing the reality of what lay ahead, Emma realized that she was on the precipice of a potential life change. Could she navigate this vortex of judgment and still emerge intact? What strength would this challenge reveal within her? And as Jake's mother leaned forward, the probing question lingering in the air, Emma braced herself for a defining confrontation. What would it reveal about the person she was meant to be? Emma's heart raced as the words hung in the air, the silence suffocating her. Jake's mother adjusted her glasses, a calculating look in her eyes. How had it come to this? The past few months had been an exhilarating ride. Jake's laughter, shared dreams, and cooked dinners alongside Clara's innocent world. And now, here she was, faced with the unforgiving reality of judgment and familial expectations. "Can I ask what your intentions are with my son, Emma?" Jake's mother finally broke the silence, her tone clipped, each word like a dagger aimed at Emma's shield of self-assurance. The question cut deeper than Emma anticipated. This wasn't simply about her aspirations, this was about the life she had brought Clara into and how that shaped their present and future. More than just a simple relationship, it felt like she was defending her very essence. Emma clenched her fists, grounding herself in the moment. "My intentions? I want to build something meaningful," she replied, stealing her gaze. "I've devoted myself to providing a stable home for my daughter, and I hope my relationship with Jake can be part of that fulfillment." The older woman's eyebrows rose, conveying incredulity, but Emma took a deep breath and continued. "I understand there's hesitation about my background. I'm a single mom, and people often see that as a failure. But it's been my greatest blessing. It has taught me resilience, determination, and love." Jake's mother folded her arms, her posture radiating skepticism. But there was a flicker of awareness in her gaze as if Emma's words had given her pause. "Resilience is admirable," she said finally, her voice cooler, "but what does it entail for someone like you? Can you truly give Jake the stability he deserves?" Each question felt like sandpaper against Emma's burgeoning confidence, yet it also ignited a fire within her. She leaned forward, her voice steady as she prepared to reveal layered truths that had shaped her journey. Stability comes in various forms. It's not about financial security alone or societal approval, it's a promise to stay authentic, to teach Clara that dreams are valid and worth fighting for. Emma paused, gauging the response. And that includes holding on to love even when it feels daunting. Jake's mother sat back, assessing Emma with renewed scrutiny. Emma felt exposed, yet liberated, like shedding layers of her past insecurities. This was no longer just about Jake's mother but about her own testament to self-worth. Each heartbeat echoed her defiance against the doubt she had held onto for so long. Jake deserves someone who matches his ambitions, the older woman countered, but something softened in her hardened gaze. There was an opening, even if minuscule. Yes, he does. And I believe I challenge him to be better, to dream bigger, Emma replied, determination lacing her tone. And to be unafraid. I've fought through my battles. I know how to stand tall against the odds. She felt a rush of empowerment flow through her, igniting a shift within the conversation. At that moment, Emma recognized her hidden strength, a quieter yet firm tenacity to carve out her own identity in a world eager to label her. Perhaps, we can find common ground, she proposed, her voice gaining clarity and conviction. Connection isn't merely defined by circumstances, it's about the willingness to understand each other. Silence enveloped the three of them as they absorbed her words. Jake glanced between Emma and his mother, as if daring the moment to evolve. But before anyone could respond, the cafe door swung open, letting in a chilly breeze that startled the trio. Emma's heart stuttered as she caught sight of a familiar face, one she had hoped never to see again. She gripped the edge of the table, unease coursing through her. What could derail her newfound momentum now? Would facing this familiar shadow shatter the fragile truce she was building with Jake's mother? As her heart raced, Emma braced herself. What choices awaited her now? Time slowed as Emma's eyes locked onto the figure that had just stepped into the cafe. Panic twisted in her stomach, yet she forced herself to breathe, to recenter amidst the chaos of her emotions. The familiar face belonged to Ryan, her former partner, who had once been a source of pain and confusion in her life. Just seeing him again triggered a flurry of questions, fears, and regrets. Emma? Jake's voice cut through her thoughts, pulling her back to the moment. Are you okay? With a flicker of determination, she nodded, though her mind raced. What was Ryan doing here? Their lives had diverged dramatically after their breakup, each taking separate paths. She had spun tales of forgiveness and growth in her mind, but now, standing here, those narratives felt fragile, easily dismantled. No, she's not, Ryan interrupted with a smirk aimed at Emma, as though he could sense her internal struggle. She's just pretending. A wave of shame washed over Emma. She couldn't allow Ryan's presence to overshadow the discussion with Jake's mother, or diminish the progress she had made in that vulnerable moment. There was too much at stake: Jake, her burgeoning relationship, and her own self-respect. Maintaining her composure, she straightened her posture and met Ryan's gaze with resolve. This is not your moment, Ryan. You don't get to derail me, she said, her voice steady but firm. It felt as though she were drawing a line in the sand, asserting control over the space she had fought so hard to establish. Ryan rolled his eyes, leaning against the cafe counter like he owned the place. Whatever you say, Emma. You still think you have it all together? Don't kid yourself. The hurtful comment landed like a blow, but Emma would not let him see her falter. Instead, she allowed the anger to fuel her next words. I don't need your validation or approval. I've fought for everything I have, and I won't let you undermine my worth. Not now, not ever. Around them, the cafe buzzed with unaware patrons, creating a surreal contrast to the tension swirling at Emma's table. Jake's mother, caught off guard by the emergence of this new conflict, shifted in her seat, her expression a mix of curiosity and concern. This was her chance, perhaps, to glean more about who Emma really was beyond the single mother label she'd initially defined her with. Ryan's grin softened into something reflective. Is that what you tell yourself? He said, the edge of mockery fading. You're a single mom trying to make it. That's hard, Emma. I get it. His admission hung in the air, momentarily disarming her defenses. It was heavy with layers of shared history that she hadn't anticipated, and it ignited feelings she thought she buried: the confusion of love, loss, and fractured identity, but the glimmer of his apparent understanding was quickly overshadowed by Jake's voice. Emma, he interjected, his presence an anchor that brought her back to the present. You've said you want to build something meaningful. Don't let him pull you down. The warmth in Jake's words reignited Emma's sense of purpose. She turned her focus back to him and his mother, shutting out Ryan's presence. You're right, Jake. What matters is that I show my daughter strength. That I believe in myself. Ryan chuckled, undermining her moment, but the laughter fell flat as Jake's mother spoke up. This is a conversation worth having, whether we involve old ghosts or not, she said, looking at Emma with a mildly approving gaze. As conversations swirled and disputes over the past threatened to seep in, Emma made a decision. She wouldn't allow the eddies of Ryan's presence to compromise her current aspirations. Instead, she realized it was time to confront the lingering shadows of her past directly, to reclaim her narrative. Ryan, if you have something to say, now's the time, she announced, her voice firm and unyielding. Because I want to run from this again. Emma felt a rush of empowerment as she faced her past, ready to confront it rather than allow it to control her. What other truths would surface in this confrontation? What new layers to her identity would she uncover in the aftermath? The stakes felt higher than ever, and as she prepared to engage with Ryan, she knew that how this encounter unfolded could reshape not only her relationship with Jake but also how she viewed herself. What revelations would come from standing firm in her truth? Would she finally secure the strength she needed to move forward, or would Ryan drag her back into the shadows she fought so hard to escape? Emma stood tall, her resolve thickening like armor around her heart. Each moment seemed to stretch as she waited for Ryan to respond. Was this confrontation a wild leap or a calculated strategy to reclaim her identity? The air was charged, fraught with the potential for breakthrough or disaster. Her muscles tensed, anticipation giving way to a sharp clarity of thought. The time had come to confront the fractured echoes of their shared past. Ryan shifted, his casual demeanor quaking as he took in her defiance. You really think you've grown? He scoffed, but there was uncertainty buried deep in his words, a betrayal of the bravado he wrapped around himself. You're still the same girl clinging to those dreams, aware they may never come true. Emma's pulse quickened, the barbs of his past accusations struck, yet this time the sting was muted by her newfound confidence. Did holding on to her dreams mean she was naive? She kept her eyes on him, feeling the weight of her choices pressing down on her. And if I am? I'll keep dreaming. Those dreams are what keep me moving forward, not backward into despair. His silence was deafening, almost as if he hadn't anticipated such a direct rebuttal. Emma's heart raced. This wasn't simply about her past but her future, a future in which she held the reins. I'm not that girl anymore, Ryan. I refuse to let your doubts define my path, my worth, she declared, invigorated by her own audacity. Jake sensed the charged atmosphere and leaned closer to Emma, his presence steadying. It's okay, Emma. Focus on us, he offered softly, the kindness in his voice fortifying her spirit. But she found herself transfixed on Ryan, a man who had once shared her life, yet had no place in it now. You say you understand me, she continued, testing the waters. But do you know the sacrifices I've made? How hard I've fought to keep my daughter safe and to build a life worth living. The compounding weight of her words seemed to awaken an unexpected response in Ryan. You think I don't get it? I'm not the same guy who broke you, he said, his voice briefly softening. I've struggled too, Emma. His admission surprised her, a crack in his defensive facade, but it offered no solace. Struggle doesn't excuse your behavior. It doesn't erase how you hurt me or what you took from me, she answered, her voice unwavering, echoing her fierce commitment to honesty. The cafe continued its rhythm around them, patrons blissfully unaware of the pivotal exchange unfolding in their midst. Jake's mother watched closely, the tension at the table palpable as the subtext of renewal and healing balanced precariously with the ghosts of regret. Then, as if propelled by the momentum of her conviction, Emma pressed on. "You are not my anchor anymore, Ryan. What matters is the life I've built with my daughter, my own dreams, and my blossoming relationship with Jake. You can try to cloud that with your doubts, but I won't let you." Watching Ryan's face shift from scorn to contemplation ignited a fire of resilience within her. Maybe this conversation, however raw, was what she needed, a way to extricate the last tendrils of confusion he represented from her life. For the first time since he walked in, Ryan faltered, a flicker of uncertainty passing over his features. "So, you're just going to forget everything we were?" Emma felt a sharp tug at her heart, a bittersweet reminder of their past. But she had long since learned that some chapters must end for others to begin. "I'm grateful for the lessons you taught me, but I can't stay stuck in the past. This is my time to grow, and I will not let you sidetrack me." As silence enveloped the café, Emma could feel the weight of realization hang in the air. She had confronted her fears, laid bare her challenges, and in the process, dismantled the projected power Ryan had over her life. But as she looked around the table, she sensed the unresolved thread still lingering between her and Ryan like echoes seeking resolution. What would he do next? Would he accept her finality, or would he fight back again, attempting to pull her back into the shadows? The answers remained tantalizingly out of reach, leaving Emma grappling with a mix of hope and trepidation. One thing was clear, though: she had taken decisive steps toward defining her own narrative and claiming her identity. Now, she waited for the aftermath, knowing the next move could solidify her newfound strength. As the tension hung thick, Emma realized she was on the precipice of something transformative. Would this confrontation be the end of their chapter or the spark for a new beginning? Emma held her breath, the weight of the silence pressing down as she waited for Ryan's next move. The café buzzed around her, the ordinary sounds blending into a distant hum. She had opened her heart and confronted her past, but the real test lay ahead. Would Ryan fight for a part in her new narrative, or would he finally accept her resolution? Ryan's gaze flickered, uncertainty threading through his features as though he were gauging the distance between the life he had known and the one Emma was forging. "You act as if I don't matter at all," he said, his voice strained. "I can still reach out. You can't just erase me." For a moment, Emma's self-assurance wavered. The part of her that had loved Ryan felt the urge to appease, to soothe the bruised ego before her. Instead, she steadied herself, recalling the tears and the heartache, the years spent grasping at dreams that felt increasingly out of reach. "It's not about erasure, Ryan. It's about moving forward. I can't allow your presence to overshadow what I'm trying to build for my daughter." He leaned in, the rift narrowing, yet the walls he had constructed seemed impervious to her resolve. "And what if I want to be a part of that life again? What if I can change?" Emma's pulse quickened, her heart a blend of hope and skepticism. Could people genuinely change? She craved authenticity, honesty, especially in relationships. Still, a small voice bled through her confidence doubt. "What do you mean by change? You expect me to just take you back, to alter my plans to accommodate your newfound clarity? I thought we shared something deeper, Emma." His intensity felt like a winding vine, attempting to wrap around her resolve. "I want to make amends, to show you I can support your dreams instead of stifle them. You mean more to me than you know." Shaking her head, Emma focused on the truth she had unearthed during their confrontation. "A few words and some remorse don't equate to action, Ryan. You have to prove to me you can walk the walk." The emotional shift in his demeanor was palpable. She could see the frustration boiling within him, but her own belief in her empowerment pushed her to not back down. The urge to resolve the conflict was tempting, yet she knew that genuine resolution required honesty, not pleading. "Do you really expect me to believe this?" she asked, her tone softer now but her resolve intact. "I've fought tooth and nail to rebuild my life. I can't afford to let anyone, especially you, drag me back to my past. Jake discreetly watched from the corner of the table, the concern etched on his face. Emma could feel the tension radiating from him, serving as a reminder of the support she had already embraced. The contrast between Ryan's past and Jake's kindness reinforced her decision. Ryan's agitation morphed into a tragic resignation. I don't want to lose you. Can't you see that? Emma sighed, recognizing that the man before her was still tangled in the remnants of past mistakes. No, you want to lose the image of who I was. I need to focus on who I'm becoming now, who I want to be. This isn't about you wanting me back, it's about me choosing my future. Ryan's silence returned, a void filled with his unresolved emotions. Emma caught an unspent tear forming in his eye, and each drop of vulnerability felt like a chisel striking at her heart. Yet, she held steadfast, focusing on the daughter she loved and her own rebirth into a life crafted on her terms. Ryan finally straightened, the mask of bravado slipping. Fine. If that's your choice, I won't stand in your way. For the first time, Emma felt an unsettling mix of relief and fear. She had laid down her boundary, but in doing so, she had also released a part of her own past. As she looked into Ryan's eyes, she understood that while the doorway to their shared history closed, the future remained wide open for her to shape according to her will. Turning to Jake, she met his eyes filled with encouragement, a reminder of the trust and warmth she had found. She needed to embrace this new alliance, to seek growth and security in relationships. Devoid of toxicity, but an unsettling feeling churned within Emma. Something was brewing beneath the surface. What did Ryan's concession truly mean? Could he find a way to turn his remorse into something constructive, or would he simply fade away, leaving her entire past unresolved? As these thoughts swirled, the cafe around her blurred into the background, her focus narrowing in on the uncertainty ahead. Emma had made great strides in claiming her identity, but could she still trust her instincts as she journeyed into a future now rich with possibilities, yet shadowed by the remnants of someone who might still resurface? The true test of her resolve was just beginning, and as she stepped into her new reality, Emma could sense the winds of change gathering once more. What awaited her next would challenge her not just as a woman reborn, but as a mother committed to a future she could really call her own. The cafe's noise faded into the background as Emma stepped outside, the tension still crackling in the air. The brisk chill of autumn wrapped around her, a stark contrast to the warmth she had just vacated. Each breath felt heavy with the remnants of her confrontation with Ryan, yet she also felt lighter, having laid bare her internal battles. There was power in boundaries. She realized an uncharted territory where she could reclaim her voice. Jake fell into step beside her, his silent presence offering a reassuring ballast against the turbulent thoughts swirling in her head. She could sense his concern, like a gentle pulse echoing in the spaces between them. In his presence, the questions looming over her felt a touch less daunting. "Are you okay?" he finally asked, his voice low and measured. Emma turned to meet his gaze, the earnestness reflected in his eyes stirring something deep within her. "Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just confronted my past, you know? And now I'm trying to figure out what all of that really means moving forward." Jake nodded, his support palpable, prompting her to continue. "I just feel a mix of empowerment and fear. I stood my ground, but was it enough? What if Ryan tries to come back? What if I'm not strong enough to handle it?" His brow furrowed, and Emma couldn't help but marvel at how much she had come to rely on his calm. "You were strong. Strength doesn't mean ignoring the fear, Emma. It means facing it and deciding how you will respond," he counseled, his focus unwavering, but deciding how she would respond felt like navigating a labyrinth of uncertainty. She sensed new challenges ahead, ones that would test her resolve like never before. A mother's instinct cluttered her thoughts, urging her to focus on the tranquility of her daughter's life. Each choice she made now would ripple through to the small world she had dedicated herself to creating. Something nagged at her, a realization that the confrontation with Ryan was just one layer of a much more intricate puzzle. The anxiety brewed over unresolved feelings, a tumultuous mix of love and resentment that was now tangled within her. Yet, beneath the surface, a stubborn ember of determination flickered, refusing to be extinguished. "Let us grab a coffee and talk this through," Jake suggested, breaking her reverie. As they settled into a corner booth, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped her, softening the edges of her thoughts. But just as she was about to voice her feelings, her phone buzzed violently against the table. The screen illuminated with an unknown number. Hesitating for a split second, she still couldn't suppress her desire to confront what lay beneath the unknown. "Are you going to answer?" Jake asked, curiosity evident in his tone. Taking a deep breath, she picked up the phone, meeting Jake's encouraging gaze with steely resolve. Just the thought of a new voice on the line ignited a spark of curiosity. "It might be important," she murmured more to herself than to him as she pressed the green button. "Emma?" "It's Riley from the community center," the voice crackled over the line, bringing with it a wave of memories. Riley had been a breath of fresh air in her life, but also a reminder of what she left behind when she shielded herself from loss and vulnerability. "Hi, Riley. What's up?" she responded, unease creeping in with the familiarity of the conversation. "Listen, something has come up. I know you're looking for opportunities to expand your skill set, and I think there's a chance to do something really impactful. Can we meet to discuss it?" The weight of her past collided with the promise of potential futures, a challenge wrapped in opportunities. A flicker of apprehension pulsed in her chest, yet beneath it, a wave of exhilaration crashed, urging her to seize the moment. "I'd love that. When do you want to meet?" she asked, her voice steady, but as she recorded the meeting details, a realization dawned on her: the potential to not only redefine her career but to also step into a new realm of personal growth lay in her hands. Yet another doorway was opening, and she stood at the threshold, staring into the unknown with fierce determination. As she hung up, a whirlwind of emotion swirled inside her. Jake raised an eyebrow, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "What's this about?" Emma smiled, a wave of resolve washing over her. "Looks like a new opportunity is knocking. Maybe it's time to answer." The true test of her fortitude was unfolding before her eyes, threading excitement through her veins. But a deeper sense of foreboding loomed around the corner like an uninvited guest, leaving her to wonder, would she be able to embrace Nova, disruptive change even as shadows from the past lingered just beyond the walls of her old life? As she met Jake's supportive gaze, she felt the urgency of the moment gripping her. The choice to redefine her narrative was now inescapable. But was she ready to embrace the complexities of a new chapter? No matter who it included, the moment of truth was upon her, and with it came the gnawing question: what sacrifices would she need to make to protect both her heart and her future? The cafe was alive with energy as Emma entered, the scent of freshly ground coffee invigorating her senses. It was a cozy haven, a stark contrast to the imposing reality she had faced not long ago. She had taken her stand against Ryan, asserting her identity and boundaries, and now felt emboldened. This was not just about confronting a past shadow, it was about embracing her potential. Jake awaited her at their usual table, a warm smile stretching across his face. His presence was an anchor amidst the tumultuous waves of Emma's emotions. She sat opposite him, her heart racing with anticipation. "You have no idea how empowering it felt to take control, to finally say no," she began, the words spilling from her lips like a rejuvenating stream. "You did something remarkable. You claimed your narrative, Emma." Jake's admiration resonated in her, stoking the embers of her resolve. His support was a living testament to her growth. She wasn't just a single mom struggling to make ends meet. She was a woman creating a future for herself and her daughter, a journey enriched with purpose. As they shared their thoughts, laughter filled the air, and the weight of judgment from Jake's mother seemed to lift. In this space, Emma was recognized not just for her overwhelming circumstances but for her resilience and ambition, qualities that had often been overshadowed by self-doubt. She envisioned Clara witnessing her evolution, learning from her mother's courage the importance of standing tall even in the face of adversity. Moments later, Emma picked up her phone. Riley's message was now glowing brightly on the screen, an invitation to explore new opportunities. "I have a meeting with Riley," she ventured, excitement tinged her voice. "We're discussing potential projects at the community center, something that could redefine where I stand professionally." Her eyes sparkled with a newfound purpose. Jake leaned in closer, intrigued. "That sounds like a game changer for you. You've got this." Their chemistry crackled, a palpable alignment of shared dreams. The fear that had once paralyzed her melted away, replaced with the intoxicating allure of possibility. "I've always wanted to give back, to make a difference. But I've been so consumed with survival I forgot I could impact lives beyond my own," Emma reflected, a smile blossoming. "Every step you take transforms not only your path but Clara's as well," Jake affirmed, admiration evident in his gaze. For the first time, Emma felt the warmth of being seen not merely as a mother but as an individual deserving of fulfillment and recognition. It was a significant evolution. This moment marked a pivotal shift. Emma boldly resolved to take the opportunity, embracing unpredictability rather than shying away from it. Each step she ventured further away from the grasp of her past symbolized not just personal growth but a commitment to carving a life filled with purpose. In the following days, she prepared meticulously for her meeting with Riley, each effort infused with an assertiveness she previously thought unattainable. She envisioned herself leading initiatives that inspired others, single parents finding strength amidst chaos, children discovering their voices, and communities uniting in shared experiences of resilience. When the day arrived, Emma walked into the center with an air of confidence. As she spoke passionately about her vision, she caught a glimpse of herself in the polished surfaces around her. The woman looking back was vibrant, weaving aspiration into action, steering beyond the limits she had once set for herself. Riley listened intently, nodding as Emma elucidated her ideas. "You're a natural leader, Emma," Riley exclaimed afterward, her enthusiasm infectious. Each commendation felt like affirmation waves pushing Emma further onto her path of self-discovery. As the weeks progressed, Emma not only solidified her role at the community center but also began to transform her narrative. It wasn't just about providing for Clara, it was about flourishing in ways she had long abandoned. Clarity flooded her mind. Success was about aligning her passions with purpose. One afternoon, as Emma tucked Clara into bed, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had led her here. The trials she faced had become stepping stones rather than obstacles, each moment nudging her toward recognizing the infinite potential within herself. She kissed Clara gently, whispering words of encouragement, "Always believe in yourself, my love, your dreams matter." In the weeks that followed, Jake remained steadfast by her side. He celebrated her achievements while pushing her to embrace the opportunities that came her way. Their bond deepened, built on an unshakable understanding of the battles they each faced. No longer was Emma merely the single mother struggling under pressures, she was a vision of resolve ready to conquer the world. Emma finally felt secure in her identity, not bound by societal judgments but defined by her aspirations and accomplishments. The shadows of her past seemed a distant memory, overshadowed by the vibrant future she was drawing. She had transformed fear into empowerment, doubt into determination. In this moment, as the sun set casting hues of orange and violet across the sky, Emma emerged whole. With renewed confidence and solid purpose, she understood that she could forge her path while aligning the roles of mother, partner, and advocate. She had stepped into her power, finally able to share it with the world around her. Now it was time to take that final leap forward. Before closing this chapter, she would continue to strengthen young voices through her work, and she would remain steadfast in her relationship with Jake, allowing love to flourish amidst possibility. Her journey had only just begun, and for you, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click matters. Comment your reactions and theories about this empowering ending below, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible conclusion. Your engagement fuels the journey of overcoming personal struggles. Be part of the story.